did this right this time, guys. Don't even need Tony's help, that punk. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Gonna answer some questions, some comments, talk about some MAGA jackasses. Maybe gloat a bit. We'll save most of that for after, though. Take our damn country back is what we're gonna do. I can't frickin' wait. A long time. You like that tune, Carly? I like it too. Man is just something I say, by the way. Gender non-specific. Ooh, looks like we have come to the beginning. Hey guys, how are you? Hopefully you got your fill with Tony, the Polish Ozarkian. Man's got a lot of energy and nice hats, very nice hats. I want to do this just because, look, man, people are nervous. I even know what's going to happen, I think, and I'm nervous. I'm basing it on evidence and, stuff and things. But I want to know from you guys what you think. So please ask me questions. Hold on. What do we got going on here? Kelly Starr, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's get all these new comments. Hopefully a bunch of you folks are here. Let's show these. I'm not seeing a ton of comments, which often means I'm doing something wrong. Ooh, Matt Hansen, $4.99. Thank you so much, Matt. Cliff, let's see. Cliff, on the edge of this last week, do you think this Biden nonsense story throws a last-minute wrench in things? You see what we're talking about where he called them garbage? I don't think it does in the slightest. They try to turn deplorables into the only people that are going to get offended by Biden saying that Trump's supporters are garbage are Trump's supporters. I mean, could it lose somebody or two? Absolutely. It likely will not. And if you're seeing what I'm seeing in the Puerto Rican community right now, like I've rarely seen something on this level organizing. I did a short earlier you should watch, guys, where I talked about just, and Tony and I alluded to yesterday, just the combined numbers on Instagram of the largest influencers in that community, Bad Bunny and J-Lo and the rest of them. And they are not messing around. They are out there. They're going to be campaigning this whole last week. They're hitting all their social media. They're organizing. I mean, I'm really interested to see what happens in Pennsylvania, which I already thought we were winning. We have to win. White Noise, thank you for the $5. Thank you for your great work. Voted today? Yes, voted blue. I love it. Yeah, I would say everybody, please make a plan. Get out there and vote early if you can. I'm going to be doing that with my family the next day or so. And my newly minted 18-year-old voter who will be voting for all the good people. The kind of guy they can't catch in a poll, which is why they get polls wrong. Wow, what's going on? Because Florida, 1 million Puerto Rican voters. Oh, a lot of Haitian voters too. Those communities not happy. And Trump can't shut his mouth. He keeps saying he's going to deport them. I really think we would have to be doing some smart advertising there. I hope we are. I'm going to check in with some folks I know who do some of this stuff. What else we got? Biden got immunity. We hold the Trump card, don't we? Yeah. Yeah, we do. He's got immunity. They can do whatever they want to him. I think he should just say after the election, after we've won, I have immunity, and kick off the 6 treasonous members of the Supreme Court and refill it and, do a bunch of stuff like that. I don't really, because believe me, I'm somebody who believes we should go very, very far in what we do. I do think if the Republicans cheat or pull any wrongs, Biden should pull the immunity card to make sure they don't get away with it. Yes, but I don't think we should. I don't think we have to. Why would we get offensive in the sense of going, on offense with this immunity thing? Because it's a terrible precedent that needs to be eliminated. But if we need it to defend our democracy, it's like the people are like, free speech, free speech. Now let's let right-wingers say all the disinformation they can so that they can trick people and they can win election and then kill all speech. Yeah, you don't want to not use it if it's protecting your democracy. But I should be answering your votes. Somebody just said, hello, I'm a diva. I know you. Thank you. Has everyone checked out We're Not Going Back? So the song by Will Gallison. I've heard it. Pretty cool. My question is, will Sherrod Brown win, and why will Kamala not win Ohio? Sherrod Brown will win because he is one of those incredible candidates who I've described this before. I've seen him in a trucker hall, and I've seen him in a higher end fundraiser. He is comfortable in both places, in a suit and in a jeans tuxedo, as we call it. He'll win because he's raised a lot of money because Kamala helped give $25 million to each of the swing important Senate races, but he raised a ton of his own. He's a terrific politician. He's been all over the state, great retail politician. Bernie Moreno is a creep who didn't pay his workers. People know about those, they signed up for a adult site looking for young guys to have fun with. But, he's all about family values and everything. And Sherrod's been on TV advertising. The reason if Kamala loses here, the Republicans did a poll here 2 months ago. They freaked out and they started advertising heavily here, which took them out of other states. We have responded with some advertising. Some of the national ads, like on the baseball games, the playoffs, have been here, Kamala's ads. But she has not been doing a dedicated ad campaign here. Now, we'll have turnout on our side. We're going to have a great turnout. There are also purge voters here because Frank LaRose is a creep, our Secretary of State. So you have to weigh all of that. I'm not saying we won't win here, but it'll be closer. I'm almost positive than it was. We lost by 7 last time. But the problem is when they have a big ad campaign and we don't respond with something near as big, you have to expect that it'll get closer, but we may lose by a few points. But turnout could make up for that. So look, my assumption is Kamala loses here by about 3 and that Sherrod Brown wins. But I could be wrong about that. And I would love it if our ground game overcame that here, Florida, Texas, and we just absolutely walloped him. So everyone, okay, what else? What am I missing? Comments. Hi, Cliff. Love your enthusiasm as much as Tony. So thankful. Thank you. Was that Froxy Roxy? You're awesome. Hi, Cliff. Hi, all. Amy Jackson. You're great. We as Black and brown people are not minorities. Where am I? You need to eliminate the word from your vocabulary, Cliff. Okay, Rees Room. Look, all I ever ask people to do is, if I'm saying something incorrect, is to tell me nicely and take a look at my track record, right? Do you think it's in bad faith or good faith if I'm saying something incorrect? So, Rees Room, my friend, tell me what I should be saying. I've never argued with anything like this. I've never said that I don't want to speak in a way that makes people comfortable or that is correct, for that matter. Sherry Tardis, thank you so much. Hello from Illinois. Dropped my ballot yesterday. Yes. Because you know what? We may be set to win that as a presidential state, but there are a lot of other important races there. We need to make sure that we win the congressional races as many as we can. State House, State Senate. Nate Henley, I'm tired. Yes, Nate. I'm exhausted. I chose to do this today, even though I am literally exhausted because I'm just going to put everything. I don't want to feel like I left anything on the table. If there's any way I could have been helpful this past week, I'm going to do it, but I get it. Comments on the Olivet race. Look, I hear people saying, a guy I know well does stat stuff who thinks that Ted Cruz is going to hold on. I trust him as a smart guy and whatever, but I don't agree. And it's going to be very close. So it's hard for anybody to say, oh my God, I know it's going to happen. I feel confident that Albright is the right candidate with the right charisma. He's mocked Cruz in the right way. He's had Republican support from Liz Cheney and Kinzinger. Huge turnout in Texas, huge turnout by women. I think we're going to pull that race off. I can't give you 100% thing, but that's my biggest pick of the one that we win. And I will tell you this, I've gotten things wrong, so I don't want to pretend that I'm right. But I picked Indiana for Obama in 2008 just by looking at it was next to Chicago. They're getting a lot of Chicago media. The Obama people had silently been doing a lot there, and the Republicans have been ignoring it. And they had a turnout operation there, and I got that right. And I don't believe Nate Silver did. So I'm not claiming to be some genius because I gotten plenty of things wrong too. But I do my best. Look at things. Do you think that if the churches are going to make political stands, they should be subject to taxes? I think churches should be subject to taxes anyhow. I think religion, you have absolute right to be whatever religion you want to be, as long as your religion is not discriminating against other people. So therefore, no, they don't get a carve out for being anti-gay and whatever. And I would change that in our society. This whole religious freedom movement is crap. But with that said, I fully support people there's a lot of healthy, smart people who go to church, go to temple, go to mosques, and they find it a respite, a quiet time to reflect on themselves, their relationship with a higher power. To me, it's a lot like yoga or meditation or working out, or that's how some people really sort of cope with today, and is a healthy thing to do. It becomes unhealthy when it becomes a cult and an obsession. But it doesn't mean churches should have these huge tracts of land, especially these mega preachers that go the fuck after them, who are like flying, their massive, well, they've got jets and their mansions. That's sickening. Pete Buttigieg for Secretary of State, as a military guy and so smart, so ahead of his time or whatever, I would tell you that I think he's, assuming everything goes the way we want, Kamala wins, he's a terrific chance of being Secretary of State. What have I missed? If I miss your comments, because I'm trying my best, guys, just ask again. I will tell you, if you even give 99 cents, even give me a small, shout out, I will definitively notice because it lights up. I'm not doing that to make money. I'm just saying I'm doing my best here. Cliff's Edge, I don't know. There are people that use it as a mask to prove they're infallible, and then the people that actually follow the philosophy. I don't know. You're talking about religion here? Not sure what you're talking about. You're talking about religion? Yeah. Again, religion, like working out, like yoga, like so many other things, if in moderation, can be a very healthy, good thing for you, a very good part of your life, especially if you follow the social gospel, as Martin Luther King did, others in our past, and you help people. You look at the parts that Jesus actually said in the New Testament, or you can believe whether you think he said them or not, but were written that he said. Those were good things. One of those big things was being a good Samaritan, helping the Samaritan on the road. Remember that one? Right. Taking in immigrants. Republicans are sure following that one. It's Texas, Cliff, not so optimistic, already exemplary, but never underestimate the skullduggery and intimidation. I won't. They will come from Cruz. Abbott will be even worse because he has control over some of the levers of power. I think we have an amazing turnout operation that's turned out so far. So I know that people have gotten by those barriers. I know that he's incredibly charismatic. I know that Republicans don't like Ted Cruz. I'm not giving you a guarantee here. Just telling you what I think will happen. I think it'll be close, and I think he'll win by a few points. Mama Brooke with the $5 super chat. Thank you. I was a lobbyist in a past life for children's mental health org. Actually, that's what my wife did when we lived in Washington, D.C. Do you think there's any chance the Electoral College will be abolished? It takes an act of, it takes a constitutional act, and therefore I don't in the near future. But I've talked about before the Electoral Compact, which is if enough states with more than 270 electoral votes get together and say, we refuse to vote for anybody but the winner of the popular vote, it renders it meaningless because a majority has then guaranteed they will vote for the winner of the popular vote. And we're not far, we're at like 230 or something. So my hope is we will get there, and that will be the change. Cynthia Rice, thank you for the $1 donation. Is very kind. I'm afraid MAGA has missed that sermon from my good pal and moderator Jim Williams. And I'm not sure which sermon, the one about helping other people, the Good Samaritan, the one about taking showers every day, the one about not falling for a gross, gauche, disgusting, horrible, maybe the worst person on earth as your cult leader. There's a lot of things they've missed. Do you think Harris would pick Mark Cuban as part of her economic cabinet? I absolutely do if Mark Cuban willing to do it. Mark Cuban is a guy who, I actually know Mark personally, not well, but I know him. Terrific guy, brilliant. He is very confident in his abilities. He should be, because he's one of the few that actually did it. Yes, he came from, I think, a middle to upper middle class family. So I'm not saying he went from rags to riches, but he built it on his company on an idea, not on stealing from other people like, Elon Musk. Tesla was not his idea, folks. But would Cuban want to do that? That's my only question. He loves being able to speak freely, right? I understand somebody like that. That reminds me of somebody sitting right here. So I absolutely think he'll get that chance. And maybe he would do it for 6 months or a year. I would hope he would do it because I think he is the right combination of courage to speak out when he thinks folks are wrong, even on his own side. Generally a liberal disposition. I'd call him center left, a capitalist, which is what we are. We need to find the ways to reform capitalism, to break monopolies, to make it easier for small businesses, to regulate properly. There's a lot of things we need to do, and he gets that. Let's see what else we got, folks. Boebert looking to win. She spent $3 million to win the fourth, very red, but she was forced out of the third. Yeah, I mean, she would have lost if she's running against Adam Fresh. She almost lost last time. She's going to underperform whatever because, people don't tend to be huge about reach arounds to Beetlejuice. And yeah, I'm being obnoxious, but I mean, everything from her, fake piety, and then every one of her kids who's getting pregnant, to the pictures in front of the Christmas tree with the freaking assault rifles, to just every stupid, obnoxious thing she says. She'll underperform a normal, any generic Republican will do by 6 to 8 points. It's just maybe 10, right? But that district is so Republican that I kind of figured once she moved there, if she got the nomination, she was going to win. But look at it this way: she's an idiot, and she's good to have around to point at her and Marge and a few of them. I think a bunch of them who are in closer districts, like a Scott Perry and people like that, could lose. I think there will be some MAGA folks that, big MAGA folks that will be going down this election, and that'll be nice. Tracy, Jesus also stated, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Yes, MAGA doesn't get that. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than a rich person to get into heaven. Right, that's one they definitely didn't learn. I mean, we can go through it all. They don't follow any of the social gospel, because even if you go to, let's say, the Catholic Church on choice, on women's rights and gay rights, we fully think that they're wrong, and they are wrong. But they are pro-union, they are anti-war, they are, they believe in a fair wage for workers. They've come out for a lot of stuff. They're against the death penalty. The right just picks and chooses. Cafeteria Catholicism, or whatever term you want to come up for what they pick from their evangelical Protestant backgrounds. Good point, Ree. But also keep history in mind and know your true friends. Remember, Cliff is obviously a friend. That's all I was saying, Ray. I don't like, and there is something called call-out culture, and I think it's exaggerated by people on the right. But I'll tell you this, when you call out your friends and embarrass them publicly, which I don't think you did there. I'm just saying you shouldn't do this. I think you were very respectable, very kind about that there. But if you want to convince somebody that, hey, you're not using you're in the last decade, you're not using what our current terminology, what's respectful, tell them nicely. You could either tell them privately, or you could tell them publicly in a respectful way. But if you go to someone who is somebody who's been a friend and an ally and scream and yell at them and call them names, which I've seen some people on our side do, by the way, do you think that's going to convince them? Do you think that's going to make them want to support your cause? That's not how you build coalitions, ever. So, and I appreciate it, Ree, because now I see that you are educating me as I asked you to do. So thank you. Black and brown people, minority, and kids, the group is not just lesser number, but in stature as human beings. I can absolutely see that. Black and brown people are not minority on either front. No, they're not. Obviously lesser in stature and everything else. We know that as human beings, and now they're not a lesser number in this country. That's why the right's freaking out with their great replacement theory. So I ask you then, Ree, my next question is, what should I be saying? I'm perfectly happy to say black and brown people. I'm perfectly happy to refer to folks in other ways. I just want to know what is the best way for me to do this so I can be most respectful. It's what I always ask. I've had friends in the trans community. I have very little experience with that community. A lot more experience having a number of friends who were gay, and so I learned from them what was respectful, what was disrespectful. But I had to reach out. I did. I reached out to some folks who were trans and just said, what should I be saying? What should I not be saying? How am I using terms from past times that, like when my grandfather, and I hope you guys will be okay, just to say, did not mean it. Okay. Just the way we still have the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP. My grandfather was a New Deal Democrat, was liberal as hell, fighting for civil rights in the 30s before it was popular, and he would use the word colored here and there, and he didn't mean it. He was trying to, and we educated him. The man reached 99 in 2004. So you have to understand that, we fall behind and we don't always know what the best thing to say is. And I'm not insulted unless you're going out of your way to insult me. Electoral college is not the Constitution. It's not in the Constitution. Is that true? Because I thought it was. If that's true, then we can eliminate it. I was almost sure that it was. But I'm not going to argue with you, Casmo, if you've got that right. Put that one up here. I hope you're right. Because if it isn't, And guess what? We can get rid of it legislatively, and that would be wonderful. But if you get the Electoral College Compact, if you just get 2 or 3 more states that are controlled by Democrats or whatever to join, then it'll all be moot anyhow. It won't matter. It'll have no power. My buddy is a new member. Thank you so much. We're trying to grow our memberships. I know we're over 100 on YouTube here, something like 40 or 50 on Patreon, but I'll have to go look. I just put up a video apologizing for my long absence and making sure, a special video for new members, not new members, members of the last 2 months, 3 months, and over at Patreon. And I will be adding a lot more to that. And I will have somebody keeping track of everything from merch to everything else we owe you. And I've promised you all, I will give you twice as much as what I promised, because I'm late and I believe in living up to my responsibilities. And I do not want to ever be thought of as somebody who does not. And Jim is saying the Good Samaritan. Yeah, they don't teach that one on the right. That's part of the book they cut out when they put in Lee Greenwood's songs, I believe, in the Trump Bible. Jesus would love Jesse James. It's obviously all the counterfeit Christian magazines idolizing man who puts his name on gold towers. Yeah, right. Golden calf and even prayer in public school is garbage, right? Jesus taught you to pray in private. That the people that pray in public are people who are boastful, who are trying to be seen, who are trying to show off, which we all know is true. When I say public, I mean not an assigned place of worship. I'm not talking about churches, temples, I'm talking about other places in your face. It's something you're supposed to do quietly because it's for you. It's not for anybody else. It's your relationship with your higher power. Okay. Leon Musk, I like it, by the way, Amy, you're right away that you're not calling him by the right name. I make up new names all the time. Elmo, Leon, Enol. I've called him all sorts of stuff on Twitter. Already bought his compound in Texas for his kids and baby mamas. Well, you know what? He also is under investigation for fraud. His businesses are under investigation, which is one of the reasons he supports Trump. So they'll get rid of those for numerous things. Committed sexual harassment, maybe even assault. That one he settled. He hasn't paid workers. My guess is it's just like Trump. If the Justice Department and others wanted to open and look into Elon Musk, they would find 50 things that laws this guy broke because he's a narcissistic sociopath just like Trump. My hope is he can either go to prison with Donald Trump, they can share a cell, or maybe they can share a compound in Saudi Arabia when they both run out of the country. But certainly the man is a security risk, speaks to Putin. The fact that he still has any government contracts to me is absolutely ludicrous. He should not be given national security clearance of the slightest. What else do we have? Lisa Lopez, Arizona. I don't hear anything about the election. Where would I look to find how it's doing? Do you mean just in Arizona? The Arizona Star used to be pretty good. There have to be Arizona bloggers out there that do this kind of thing. I'm trying to think specifically of friends I have in Arizona. I've had some in the past who've written about it. Good friend of mine, he was San Francisco. Did he go to school there? Matt Ortega talks about Arizona a lot. Worked on the Hillary campaign. Might want to look him up on Twitter. But I'd say, we do our best to keep you abreast of the situation. Look up good independent media based in Arizona. Got to be some folks, really. I don't know how good the Star or any of those others are because, again, mainstream media is questionable until proven not questionable. I'm going back up to see if there's stuff I missed. Musk is trying to give away his sperm. Ew, and also ew. He's got 12 kids already. That's 11 more than he should have been allowed to have, probably. Really 12 because he's a complete piece of something. Do you think Mark Elias would be a good AG? I do. I don't know. I mean, he's a terrific lawyer. But somebody needs to be in there who's aggressive. None of this Merrick Garland shit anymore. We've talked about it, me and Tony. Dan Goldman would be utterly fantastic. Jamie Raskin would be utterly fantastic. Sally Yates would be utterly fantastic. There's a lot of good folks out there. Okay, let's get away from that Musk trying to give away his, whatever, because that made make me hurl. Sorry, Chipmunk Milk. I spent years screaming FJB, and now we're supposed to care that they cry being called garbage. I know. They've referred to us. I was going to make a list there somewhere, right? Vermin, poisoning the blood. Things like that Donald Trump and members of his group have said, right? Shithole countries. What's the recent thing about Puerto Rico? Hell, one of the idiots who's a financial manager was last name Cardone. Everybody should spam that guy. Go, not spam, but go find him and leave nice comments because he's a dick who talked about there being slaughter necessary at that Trump Nazi rally. These fucking people, I swear. Will MTG and Large Marge get reelected? I think MTG and Large Marge are the same person. If there's two of them, that really is gross. Sadly, our district, again, so I've talked about the Dobbs effect. I've talked about, we overperformed by an average 7 points. I don't believe that's going to change this election. Maybe after this, because they don't talk to enough Gen Z. They factor out women who've only voted in one recent election or stuff like that. You have to have voted in two. But even if we overperform by 10, 12 points, Marjorie Taylor Greene's district is something like plus 23 Republican. It's something ridiculous. So I just don't know. The one about Arnold Palmer Schlong. I think Trump dug that up and takes that with him everywhere at this point. It's like the monkey's paw. He feels stronger with it. That would be cool if White Noise, if Mark Cuban got a counter position. I fully agree. Must always vote, keep the states blue control, or they were back out. That is true, right? But I think they passed legislation, if I'm correct. I'd have to look. So they would need to take over all three branches to back out, I would assume, right? They'd need the governor and both houses of the state legislature. So we have to make sure they don't get that. What else do we have? I've never seen such turnout here in Joplin, Missouri from Oddly Wired. See, this is what I love seeing. We had to wait until Thursday because there were so many people. My daughter didn't have time between jobs. See, this is what's hugely important, right? I read that poll the other day. There's 5 points in Kansas. I don't know if that's accurate or not. But considering Biden lost there by, was it 11, 12? I mean, I could see it, Kamala performing that much better. It's possible, right? And so if you're in Missouri, and that's to the left of Kansas, it's reasonable, to think that certainly I think Missouri is going to be in single digits this time, which is awesome. I think Missouri will benefit from some of the things of Ohio, changing demographics. It's got some major cities that have companies, younger folks who are more liberal, suburban folks who are moderate, not crazy, will move to, and it's older folks in the rural areas because they refuse to listen to us and they refuse to get vaccinated and they keep smoking and they keep going to coal mines and they keep, eating horribly, not exercising and everything else, are dying, especially young men, right? Not middle-aged men are dying. Men, their life expectancy is going down, uneducated men. I don't wish that upon anybody, but a lot of that is because they won't listen to us. So you reap what you sow, I think is what the Bible says, these Bible lovers. I mean, we don't want you to not listen to us. We'd like you to do healthy things. It'd be better for everybody. But if you refuse to, then who am I to stop you from, I guess we have freedom in this country as you want. Be an idiot. I think Missouri is going to get better. May not get as much better as Ohio and Iowa and Florida because it's a little further to the right. But I think you get huge turnout. I think Lucas Kuntz, for the same reason that I think Allred and Debbie McCausland-Powell have better chances because of things I've seen happen in their states. I brought up the Beyonce rally in Houston, other stuff like that. Florida, Rick Scott dropping $10 million in the last 2 weeks for ads. You don't do that unless you're scared shitless. And the abortion rights ballot amendment and Kamala opening an office in Tallahassee to turn people out 17 days before the election, stuff like that. Missouri, obviously, hasn't quite made that list, but the fact that Lucas Kuntz has been such a good candidate and that Josh Hawley even tried to challenge him once publicly, I mean, that makes me think Hawley was nervous about something. And Hawley has the same problem Cruz and Scott have, which is nobody likes him. I mean, they are three of the biggest dicks. Add like Mike Lee and Rand Paul and one or two others. They're three of the biggest dicks in the Senate. Even the Republicans don't like them. So Hawley, with his cowardly fist and all of that stuff, could he lose? I mean, it would be amazing. I wouldn't predict it. I will hope for it. I think that one, though, could be within a couple points. So it's possible. Not surprised about evangelical churches, of course. Thought Mark Cuban was going to run for POTUS. He's talked about that, but he's talked about a lot of stuff. What I'd like to see Mark Cuban do is invest in liberal media. And by that, I mean truthful media. Doesn't even have to be liberal at all. It just has to tell the truth. When Donald Trump lies, just say Donald Trump lied. When Donald Trump doesn't do something about COVID, people die, to say those people died because Donald Trump didn't do something about COVID, right? When Donald Trump gets up and makes a threat, Nazi threat, or gets up, better yet, and talks about Arnold Palmer's dick, you don't write like the New York Times. Like, he went into some interesting anecdotes about Arnold Palmer. You say the president went on a weird rant and even mentioned Arnold Palmer's penis in the shower, so that regular people that just see articles quickly, headlines, chyrons, get a full sense. Because there's a lot of people out there that would vote against Trump if they knew how bad he was. And the media overall, even with their lack of endorsing, has been getting better on the news front. I think we've pressured them. That's been terrific. Like they when he admired Hitler, a bunch of them came out and said that. So they've been getting better, but they're still not nearly good enough. But we've been able, in independent creator types and whatever, to push some of the stuff out there. So that's been important. Can we win Texas, Florida, or even Philly? Not sure I understand that question. We will win Philly by about 90%. Did you mean Pennsylvania? We're going to win Pennsylvania, and we're going to win the election. Texas and Florida, I'm less sure of, but I'm going to tell you right now, I think we win Texas, and I'm about 50-50 on Florida. I'm okay keeping all rich billionaire predators out of our government, all of them, no matter the side. I wouldn't call Mark Cuban a predator. I don't think that's fair. He is a billionaire, and honestly, you couldn't be much to my left at this point with the damage that these oligarchs have done and these big companies. I would bring back Teddy Roosevelt, Woodrow Wilson, FDR type trust busting like you haven't seen. I'd break up Amazon. I'd break up Microsoft. I'd break up Facebook. I'd break up all of these large. I'd get back to what we used to do up until Reagan came along. Right. And we would have more competition. You'd have higher paying jobs. You'd have less environmental despoilment. You'd have, and then I'd add Elizabeth Warren's wealth tax, but I'd even go above what she said. It may be that we can only get that through 3% for all of your wealth above 50 million. I would do what AOC said for people making more than 10 million a year, 70%, though I might make it 75 or 80. So that's where I stand. I'm pretty far to the left. I don't think you throw in Mark Cuban with those guys. You can say that you'd rather not have billionaires in government. I'm talking to Chipmunk Milk, and I think that's fair. Don't let's not call him a predator. He's been pretty helpful to democracy. Maybe nobody should have that much money. That tends to be my feeling, but not a predator. Cliff, do you think when Kamala wins, she'll make Jack Smith AG from Tony Osmond? I think there's a great chance. Sure. I think he'll be in that list that I mentioned before. I think Kamala, look, if you've seen the way she's run our campaign, this is no attack. I worked for Biden in 2020, and we pushed Biden to say and do things that I don't think he wanted to, right? We got him to say semi-fascist, right? We're going way back now. But even using the F word, even getting that in there was huge. We got him to be more aggressive on a number of things. We got him to finally come out in favor of getting rid of the filibuster. Kamala's been in all this stuff from the beginning. She is not only run a terrific campaign, but she has shown that she gets the fight we're in. The people that we're up against, the ghouls, I would say, and what we need to do to fight. And that means that Merrick Garland, it's been plainly obvious, has been a failure and not nearly aggressive enough. And it's the only reason people like Ted Cruz and Marjorie Taylor Greene are running for re-election, because they should probably be in court being tried for sedition. They don't have immunity even from our lying Supreme Court. And they were meeting with Trump. What did they do? What did they know? How were they involved? But thanks, Merrick. It was more important to go after Hunter Biden, clearly. Well, Jack Smith, I've seen what he's written. I would love to see that. What else? Spent $3 million, Tom. I'm not sure who you're talking about. May have seen that Michael Bloomberg just gave $50 million to Kamala's super PAC after Bill Gates did and convinced him to. Again, I don't think people should have the kind of money even that Bloomberg has. He did give me one of my first gigs fighting for gun safety. We got it passed universal background checks in a number of states, red flag laws. We got some of the stuff done on the federal level, the Biden legislation, which closed 2 important loopholes, even if it wasn't nearly enough. But yeah, when I read people have 70 billion, 105 billion, I honestly think, I honestly think there'd be a point where, I don't know where I would, so I'm just throwing stuff out right now. Maybe it would be 10 billion where I would start I would, or something like that, where I would start taking 95% of your wealth away. Something like that. So yeah, you can become a billionaire. You can even become a multi-billionaire if you could keep making enough money as we take the vast, vast majority of it back to our country. Under Eisenhower, folks, we had a 91% top tax rate. Ike, Republican. We had it very high under FDR too, I think in the high 80s. Kennedy gave this big tax cut. You know what he lowered it to, the top tax rate? It was like 72 or 73%. We need to get back to that mindset that businesses are part of the public good like the rest of us all. What they do is as businesses, they have a that's great to make a lot of money, to make profit, but that's not their main goal. Or let's just put it this way, that's not their only goal. It could be one of their main goals. They also need to respect the society around them, keep it clean, add to the public good, whether that's through charity, workers, paying them well. This is the way we saw the world. I mean, we were still racist, and so it was mostly for white people, sadly. But this is the economic model we operated on from the 30s to the 70s till Reagan came along and the crazies around him. Thank you, Bill Matralis, for the $1 super chat. Joy listening to Cliff just voted all blue in Texas. See, Colonel Klink, you are going to make sure we win that state. I'm feeling good about Texas, guys. Again, I could be wrong. I'm not a fortune teller, but all I can do is look at the signs, and the signs so far are good. Obert will be doing infomercials for Shake Weight next year. She's lucky. That was from Jesse James. Do we have other questions, my friends? Impossible for me to love a MAGA neighbor. They're Nazis. I'm completely okay with that. I have a hard time reconciling with, that I don't have any MAGA, so that's important. Nobody that would fly flags, anything positive about Donald Trump. I do have a family member, and I do have one or two friends that were like, well, I kind of have to vote for Donald Trump because, to me, I'm a Republican, lesser of two evils, and that's made some of those relationships tricky for me. Because no, there's no evil that Donald Trump is a lesser evil than, and Kamala's terrific. Remember, not one of the top 100 CEOs gave a dime to Trump. Yeah, a bunch of the CEOs have endorsed Kamala, by the way. They see what the Republicans are doing. They see how far they've taken things to crazy land. They've seen them target places, companies like Disney and whatever, over whatever they feel like. Matthew McNeil. Could that be the great Matthew McNeil from Minnesota, who everybody should listen to his radio show, AM 950, Liberal Talk, one of the few independent liberal terrestrial stations. And Matt also live streams when I go on. He's also on in Seattle and in Chicago. Guys, Matt McNeil is truly, again, why I hope Mark Cuban and others invest in our media, because Matt should be speaking to the entire nation every day. He's so damn talented. If that's the Matthew McNeil, if you're another Matthew McNeil, I still like you. What else we got? Listen to Cliff on the road. Ooh, yeah. Catch me on the road. Podcast, Apple. Nice. Do you think Trump's campaign is targeted young males because they are purposely building a MAGA army? I don't think that that's what it is, although, sure, they'd love some of those young males to join it. But I think it's more to the point of the reason why they would think more young males would turn out for them is the same reason, they think more young males would show up to a place like on January 6th to Congress. Because young, particularly white, but it exists in the Black and Latino community. I don't think they're going to win. If they win more in those numbers, it'll be marginal, and they're going to lose other groups by such large amounts, like women, that it's not going to matter. But there's a young thing when you're in your teens and 20s as a guy where you feel like you have to prove your masculinity. I've been there. I've been that age. I remember what it was like. I never felt the need to prove it by voting for someone like Donald Trump. But they're appealing to that. The toxic masculinity, these guys who don't feel like they're very successful, whether it's in life, if at that age they're already trying to get jobs, or in school, or with women. And as the right does with everything, they blame it on us. It's not your fault because you didn't work hard enough, or you made a mistake, or didn't move to where the jobs were, or didn't get the right education, or whatever. It's our faults somehow. Cliff is wise. Don Shepard. I'm on that path, but I get fucking pissed off with idiots. I mean, I do too. I don't know if I'm wise or not, but trust me, I get pissed off at fucking idiots. I do have to deal with, again, guys, we all have family. It is what it is. And I'm not going to start a war to my family over some, but luckily the vast majority of my family, like 90 something percent, are all voting for Kamala. The undereducated epidemic in the US, yeah. Some people bring up and they think that's a conspiracy, right? They've cut money from public schools. I think that could be part of it, right? Lesser educated. Trump loves the lesser educated and all of that. I think a lot of it's just they never believed in public schools. They don't believe in the public good, which is a literal part of the contract, the locking in contract. It is part of the basis of democracy, the public squares. For all of us, the public good is what we seek, and we all have individual benefits by doing that. They never believed in public school. They never believed that we were responsible for our fellow citizens eating or getting educated. So I think that's a big part of it, is they just don't care because they're horrible people. But sure, a nice side benefit is when you're less educated, you have less of a defense mechanism against their propaganda. Sure. Jim working overtime today. Seems to be. And I shouldn't keep Jim here that much longer. I said 30 to 40 minutes. So we'll do a couple more minutes, guys. Jesus, difficult to found this live stream from Tony's podcast. Need better linking and promoting. Okay, that's Mani. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Other folks, let me know. Did you have trouble finding this? Because again, we're trying to do our best to have Tony's people come directly over here. So if that's not working that way, could be a glitch. We've had some people who had glitches in YouTube lately. There's so many people on YouTube right now using it before the election I've had more glitches at my channel than in the past. But this is something that we should, that I'll talk to Tony about. We'll make sure. I think he's doing everything he can. But soon enough, guys, you'll get used to coming over there. You'll know where to find me. That you just go to my YouTube page and click on live. I get you a link, but there's no link until I'm live. Now, as I get more comfortable doing this, which I'm getting much more comfortable doing this, maybe I'll be able to talk to you while I send a link out, Ooh, multitasking. Andy Featherbush, should Elon Musk, I like that, be investigated for his Russian involvement? I mean, absolutely. He is being, I believe, but I mean, a guy that is Starlink, a guy that handles defense contracts and sends our stuff to space, and he's busy privately meeting with Vladimir Putin. I'm not sure who he's told or whatever, but he absolutely should be investigated. And I think in the interim, should be stripped of contracts and stripped of any clearance, security clearance. Zofia Maslani, what worries me is Biden's comment. I'm just watching the news. They're going crazy about his comment. Yeah, I don't think it'll hurt Kamala in the end again. I think they're going to try to grab the Biden comment to make up for what's going on with Puerto Ricans. But again, Trump's people attacked Puerto Ricans, an individual group of people, some of whom are Democrat, some of whom are Republican, called them trash, called their island trash for no reason. Biden is attacking Trump supporters. They're, by definition, not voting for us. So do you think there are a couple undecided people out there that will hear that and be like, oh, well, Biden's... I mean, it's possible. But Kamala didn't even say it. Biden said it. And again, I think a lot of people think Trump supporters are trash. I haven't even seen all the context of the comment. I'll have to make sure I go and see it. And I'm not giving some BS answer. I haven't seen him. It was said very harshly, how it was said. But I don't. I think this thing's baked in the cake. I think virtually everything. I think they're grasping at straws, just like they were with Haitians in Springfield, Ohio here, just like they were with FEMA and made up conspiracies. You know what I mean? They're like someone going down in quicksand and grasping at anything they can. So Biden said this, they'll try to push that out there. Really, really would be shocked if that changed more than, honestly, a dozen votes. I just don't think a lot of people are like, everybody's exactly the same, but Biden said his supporters are trash. If they've heard that, they've probably heard what Trump's people said about Puerto Ricans. And if they're racist enough to think that it's much worse to attack Trump supporters, which is not any individual race of people, than it is to attack a race of people, then they probably weren't going to vote for us in the end, even if they're undecided. Elon is violating PA state gaming law and is running an illegal lottery. That is true. He's being investigated by the feds and by the state of Pennsylvania just on his ridiculous scheme to register people. I think he should be investigated just for that stupid looking jump of his in the air, like the Tom Cruise on the sofa on the Today Show. It's so freaking cringe. I mean, please investigate him for that and see if he has an EQ that is actually in negative territory, like maybe that of a JD Vance manhandled sofa. Rob Law, it is not in the Constitution. I assume that you're also talking about the Electoral College. So where is that from then? I'm not saying it to argue. I thought it was. Yeah, Electoral College is in Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution. That's last life crisis. Again, I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'd love to be wrong about this, but I was pretty sure it was in the Constitution. Thanks for the stats on Bobo. Always happy to share, or maybe you're talking to somebody else. Yeah, expand the House, Paul Young. That's another thing, because I've talked about expanding the Supreme Court, and I've made the point that actually it's not just about partisan politics, so that's a lot of it. They stole 2 Supreme Court seats. They have 2 people on there that absolutely should be impeached. One in Kavanaugh's case, because he never should have been there to begin with. He's a sexual assaulter. Thomas, same deal, and stuff he's done since. Supreme Court, other courts, but Supreme Court also needs to be expanded for good governance. That we haven't expanded it since the 1860s, and our government has gone from 30-something million to 330-something million, grown 11 times. So they reject most cases. Of course, they take all the most political ones, the immunity one that they want. And most people never have their disputes and other problems resolved. We need a Supreme Court that actually has enough people on to do the work, which is why I said 13 is not enough. We need 17, maybe 21. Revolving groups who could look at certain cases. It would depoliticize it and certainly put enough good folks on it to make up for the right-wing nuts that we can, again, on guns, abortion rights, voting rights, money in politics, working rights, and all the rest, get back to where this country was. So I agree. And Paul, it's the same thing with the House. I didn't look at the stats, and I should, but our House has not grown in the longest time. They represent a lot more people now. If you represent too many people, it's very hard for you to meet with your constituents and do things they need. So absolutely, the House should be expanded by a large amount. I feel like it hasn't been expanded forever also. Like maybe it should be twice as big. Maybe we should have multi-candidate districts. Some other countries do that, although that might take a change in the Constitution too. But I would say at the very least, the House needs to be significantly bigger. The Electoral College is a racist construct of the 20th century, Cosmo. Yes. It's also elitist, which back then were similar concepts. But it wasn't just racist because they didn't trust regular white people either. It was only the elite, well-educated folks who knew best. And so if the country made a dumb decision, they could make up for it. And the irony, of course, is it's done just the opposite. We've made the better decision with our popular vote, and it's the uneducated asshole folks in the Republican Party who have used it to their advantage. All right, guys, it's 2:47. I said I would answer questions for 35 to 40 minutes. I always go long on these things, because I really like to answer your questions. But I think we're getting there to where it's time, and okay, we've answered the question whether it's in the Constitution. Got that. Wildcliff, I've always believed that I always prayed in private. You are correct, Foxy Roxy. That is what it should be. It is supposed to be between you and your maker. Nobody else. I mean, again, church and temple, mosque. If you're Hindu, Buddhist, in your temples, fine. How can Republicans be so blind? Too much masturbation? That's what I'm going with, dawned on me. Too much masturbation, I think is what it is. Just watched Frank Luntz on CNN, Miss Happy. He made it sound like Harris is going to have some problems getting votes because of Biden's off-the-cuff remark. Frank Luntz was a professor at the university I was at. Frank Luntz is about Frank Luntz and Frank Luntz's houses and Frank Luntz being a whore and whoever's paying Frank Luntz. I think it may be the Koch brothers right now. Frank Luntz is about Frank Luntz. Don't give a shit what he says seriously. I mean, again, I'm not saying that there's no chance it will hurt. I'm just saying don't believe it because Frank Luntz is saying it. There's so much more bad stuff out there, Trump has said. This isn't going to last barely a news cycle. Arizona's going blue. I like that, Bill Matralis. All right, last couple question right here. Do any of Elon Musk's kids acknowledge him, Rob Law? I think some do. Probably the ones that want to inherit the money. It's funny. I went to college. Quick story with James Murdoch, one of the Murdoch kids. And for a while, he worked at Sky TV. He and his wife always gave to Democrats. Were always rejected the rest of the family's politics, Rupert and whatever. And you may have seen they were on the list of people that they finally he couldn't even live with himself anymore. He quit the board of News Corp and has separated himself from the family. And they endorsed Kamala Harris, which I'm glad to see. James was the year behind me in high school. He always seemed like a nice guy. I was shocked that he even followed in his father's footsteps, but my guess is there was a lot of pressure there and, money and all that stuff. Hey, this may be a great one to end on. Robin Dopp. Hey, Cliff, Jocelyn Benson came out with Michigan early voting stats in a video. I can't make heads or tails of it because I don't know which counties are blue. I can tell you that Jocelyn Benson was jumping around because they had broken so many records. And again, it's not just about, yes, it's hard to know the counties, but in the end, I do know it was very disproportionately female. That is a good thing for us. So you should know that. We should get out and vote early too. Because remember, I think Republicans want to try to be in the lead so they can act like they're the winners, and that counting votes late is we're undoing their lead. So we need to get out there. Clover, Letitia James. I think you probably mean as AG. I think she wants to be governor of New York, but she's interested. My guess is she'll get a look. She was a great prosecutor. All right, folks, I think that's it. Gone 51 minutes. That was even longer than I thought. You guys are fantastic. You're awesome. You'll have another chance tomorrow because I'm going to do my regular live stream where I will have an awesome guest coming on. He hasn't confirmed yet, but someone who can speak to a lot of key issues that we talk about and why the Republicans will be awful on the Men Project 2025 and the rest. You guys are great. You're fantastic. I love you for doing this and letting me have this be something that I get to do. So thanks for everything. Thanks for being here. Keep on fighting the fight. And just remember, folks, I think the best way of putting it, we'll end with this. MAGA is the pandemic, and we are the vaccine. Let's go out and do some vaccinating. Get to the voting booth. Thanks, guys.